Hello, BookTube. I have another Irish stew video for you today. This is a random video where I talk about items from the news and from the internet that strike me as being of interest, or that I want to just expound on. And I broached this whole idea of a video. What are we going on, 2 weeks now? Diffidently. I thought, I'll do this once in a while, and if you like it, I'll continue. And yesterday I did not do one, and heard a lot about that. I heard a lot from a lot of people wondering where is the Irish stew video for today. Sorry about that. I honestly was not picturing this as a daily thing, but we'll do one today. It's an absolutely gorgeous Saturday, just absolutely beautiful. More and more the weather looks like rain. A large amount of rain is coming to New England, but right now there's no hint of it at all. It's just gorgeous, beautiful and cool, sunny, lovely. So we'll organize this the way we do every Irish Stew video. We'll start with the world, then we will do the U.S., where I live, and then we'll do YouTube just in general, and then BookTube, and then me. We'll finish up with me. So for the world, there are two subjects, and unfortunately they have something in common. They are both war. In the broader scale, the far more potentially disastrous scale, Poland actually mobilized a lot of its armed forces because, once again, Putin's Russia flew military drones over Ukraine. The provocation this time was a massive airstrike on Ukraine. Although there was military drone activity over Estonia. So if you are the Polish government, if you are the Polish military, you are foolish if you don't know what this is. This is the overture of war in the West. Putin is realizing that the United States, under Donald Trump, will not oppose him if he attacks NATO. And that China will agree with him, that he will have the backing of a massive superpower. He is not a massive superpower, but he will have the backing of a massive superpower, and the world's other massive superpower will effectively step out of his way. If you're Putin, you're not going to sit around waiting for conditions to get better than that. So the Polish military went on military alert because of massive, I almost said Soviet, massive Russian military activity in a part of Ukraine that's a day's heavy march away. I don't blame them at all. The person I blame, of course, is the ruler of the United States, who's allowing this to happen, who's going to be... Donald Trump's position on this is going to be explicitly mafia. He is going to say to NATO, you want more protection, you got to pay. I'm not talking anymore. No one's talking anymore about them paying their fair share. It's now just pay me. You're not paying the United States Treasury. You're paying me personally. Awful nice NATO here. It'd be a shame if something were to happen to it. That's all it is. And sooner or later it will be made that obvious. I don't know what to say to the people in the United States that I have talked to regularly who think that Putin doesn't want Poland. I don't know what to say to them. He's invaded two countries. He is more and more pushing the boundaries of Estonia and also especially Poland, which he wants more than anything. He's more and more pushing the boundaries specifically to see what the United States will do. And the United States is doing nothing. Except there is one other thing, which is that a large amount of arms sales have been slowed, stalled, or stopped to Europe from the United States. So I don't think the Trump regime could be making it any clearer what they're okay with having happen. But that is one thing, and that is a large thing. That is the prospect of World War III on European soil. The smaller thing is also war, though, which is that the Trump regime has continued its war with the country of Venezuela. It hasn't called it that, hasn't been declared that, but the Trump regime continues to murder Venezuelan citizens on the high seas. It's not protective, it's not custodial, it's not a police action, it's just murder. until the Trump regime proves that the people it is killing by destroying these boats on the open ocean are drug runners, until it proves that they are, provides any evidence at all of that, then any sane person, certainly any sane government, should assume they're lying. The Trump administration never does anything but lie. This is just provocation. This is Trump doing what Putin is doing. He is pushing the boundaries to see how much this country will take. And I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. It's been a long time since I was in Venezuela. I have no idea what the answer is. This is now 3 that we know of, completely unprovoked acts of murder and war. So where it goes from here, I have no idea. No idea at all. But those, on the word stage, it's 2 stories that are linked and the same. 2 vicious dictatorships conducting all but open warfare on neighbors, on nearby countries. 2 rogue states pushing the envelope to see how far they can go before anyone stops them. So that's the world. And then we can deal with the U.S. And for the U.S., maybe we could stand something a little happier. Let's shift to happy for the U.S. because the U.S. has the Curiosity rover, which is on Mars, far away from all of this madness, and is still working. And is still doing its humble job. The Curiosity rover is still taking all sorts of photos. It's still doing all sorts of sample work. And it relatively recently, it sent back images of what is obviously a dried riverbed. It's just so incredible to think that 1 billion years ago, there was water flowing on the surface of Mars. That is just so incredible to think. And to not only to think it, not only to imagine it as a part of science fiction, but to be relatively sure visually that it's true. I've heard other candidates for what could have made what obviously looks like a riverbed. I've heard other candidates for that. I don't know that I believe any of them. To me, it seems obvious what the real reason is, and that is just incredible. But whether you believe it or not, you should do yourself a favor and Google Curiosity images, even Curiosity images riverbed. Because it's incredible. This thing is there in the Martian winter, working, taking pictures, beaming them back to a planet. It doesn't know anything about Earth. It's just amazing to think that that is happening while all this is going on. That a probe of ours is active, working, and moving around on a neighboring world. I don't know. Maybe I'm simple. To me, that is utterly invigoratingly marvelous. So we'll leave the U.S. there, and then we'll move on to YouTube, to general YouTube. And general YouTube, the thing that I've been noticing is there was a political assassination, or maybe not, definitely an assassination, of Charlie Kirk, the MAGA influencer Charlie Kirk. Was shot dead at an open-air speaking engagement. And that's a story on its own, of course. And that's also a source of insanity on its own. The Vice President of the United States carrying the coffin in state. The Congress voting unanimously for a Charlie Kirk Remembrance Day on his birthday. That's a source. The killing on its own is a source of insanity, and a whole bunch of Irish Stew type videos where MAGA is actually calling this their Reichstag fire moment. And a number of people have pointed out that means you are the Nazis. You are intentionally identifying yourself that way now. You can't claim that it's the libs who are calling you Nazis now. If you're saying this is our Reichstag fire moment to take over the government and crush our opposition, you are explicitly identifying yourself with the worst people who've ever lived in the history of the world. So it's not exactly a mystery if other people characterize you that way. But quite apart from all of those aspects of the killing of Charlie Kirk, there are also now the inevitable conspiracy theories. And that's what I've been watching on YouTube. Ian Carroll has done a few videos on conspiracy theories about Charlie Kirk's assassination. Candace Owen has done a large number of videos saying that the story doesn't add up. No matter what the story ends up being. The story is not exactly carved in stone yet. They're saying it doesn't add up. The way you are reconstructing the actions of the shooter on the day of the shooting don't make any sense. And you're also being very cagey about what you release and don't release. Why would you do that? Why would you be cagey about that? If you believe you've got the right man, And after 4 or 5 false starts, the absolute moron that Trump put in charge of the FBI now is sure that he has the right guy. If you're sure of that, why wouldn't you? Not only has not all the forensic evidence been shown to the public, despite the fact that the claims made about that evidence don't add up, but also there are all sorts of holes. We talk on this channel all the time about conspiracy theories. I think they're fascinating. At heart, I like to think of them as historical inquiries. How do you know what you know? How do you know that? Is it just your opinion that I'm hearing, or do you have factual basis, and is your factual basis good? Now, that's true no matter what the conspiracy theory is. And in our age, where everyone is shaping their own reality on a little device in their pocket, and they are not holding any allegiance to actual ontological reality. In a world like that, conspiracy theories are going to crop up everywhere. And if you add that to the fact that when the moron that Trump put in charge of the FBI first got into office, he randomly fired hundreds and hundreds of most experienced people. He lopped off all of the institutional memory of the FBI. He made it virtually a guarantee that if something like this happened, the FBI under his leadership would bungle things, and it has done that spectacularly. You put those two things together, it stands to reason that conspiracy theories are going to abound. How many shooters were there? Did the shooter have an accomplice? Is the text chain that has been released real? Or is it, as many people have pointed out, rather obviously fake? What is going on here? What is going on here? How did this crime actually happen? If the shooter, as he says in his text, had to hang around at the scene of the crime for almost a whole day in order to retrieve his rifle, well, then how wasn't he found? With a manhunt dragnetting the whole campus, etc., etc., etc. There's an endless number of them. I don't hold any water with any of them. I think, as in most cases, the straightforward story is that this kid, did the killing, pretty much as he says he did. And also, I of course don't hold any water with the two people that I named. Ian Carroll seems like a nice guy, but he has Joe Rogan brain rot. There's no conspiracy that he will not believe. And Candace Owens is an imbecile. Such an imbecile that it would be, under ordinary circumstances, embarrassing for you to admit that you listen to her about anything. If she can be walking outside, I'm just having a daily walk, when suddenly I realize, hey, dinosaurs, those are fake and gay, aren't they? Then you're a moron. You're an imbecile. You're dumber than a small child. So I don't hold any special truck with either of them, but their videos and a whole bunch of other videos are going into granular detail about what we know about the Charlie Kirk assassination and whether or not it makes any sense. I always find that stuff fascinating in a macabre kind of way. So that would be the bulk of YouTube. I mean, I watched a video also by Coop, I think is the name of the channel. I'll try to remember to leave a link to everything I'm talking about down below. I don't know that I'll link to Candace Owens. I think you can find her on your own. But Ian Carroll, I don't mind linking to. And there's a channel, I think it's called Coop. It did part one of a really in-depth look at the Oklahoma City bombing, the Murrah building. It was from the 1990s, so a lot of you won't remember it. I remember when it made the news, thought it was utterly fascinating, and it's a really good documentary. But the main thing that has been on YouTube and on my radar has been conspiracy theories about the Charlie Kirk assassination. And then we can move on to BookTube. And I have two things I want to recommend to you. One is Really Random Reads, who did a wonderful video of Salem's Lot by Stephen King. I think it was his first time reading it. And just a wonderful reaction / analysis of the book. I mean, if you've spent any time on BookTube, you've surely seen dozens and dozens of videos on Salem's Lot. But one more won't kill you. This one's really good. And also, there's the channel Nomad Over Normal. Not sure whether to include him in BookTube. And certainly some of his clickbait videos have rubbed me the wrong way. But he did one just recently that is a hymn of praise to the library and to your library card. That your library is the ultimate antidote to the stupid disposability of the subscription model for movies or TV or whatever. That it's the ultimate antidote to that. And boy, oh boy, was he eloquent in that video. Boy, oh boy, is it good. If it doesn't make you want to dust off your library card and maybe add a library to your daily routine or weekly routine, I don't know what would. It made me want to do that. There are a few problems with that. One is that I scarcely ever move from this couch. Another is that I think my library card is defunct. So I would need to go to the library and ask them to renew it, and maybe that's as easy as just doing that. They certainly seem very laid back at the library. But also there's another major factor, which I know for a fact is not universal, because I hear library stories from all of you, and that is that the Boston Public Library is not all that good. As a research library, sure, in Bates Hall. But as a just general go and browse library, well, first of all, the browsing is not all that easy. If you want to look at new releases right as you walk in the door, fine. But if you want to look at new releases or hot titles in other areas of the library, a lot of times you have to squat down or kneel down or look around for those areas. It's not conducive at all. And also, as I've learned from a lot of you when you talk about your own libraries, the new releases are not vibrant at the Boston Public Library. I know that you have grounds to suspect me when I say that, because my own new releases, so to speak, are extremely up to date. But I'm talking just about collections that I've heard from some of you at your libraries, where the libraries have much more selection. They are much more vibrant, much more up to date, much more varied. You've sent me pictures. Plenty of you have. I know from all of you that I'm not wrong in my impression that the Boston Public Library is not all that good. It might be good for wandering the stacks and looking at backstock, but even so, even given those two impediments, the library and my library card, which may or may not work, I still watched Nomad Over Normal's video and thought, you could make it a booktube thing. You could make it a booktube thing. Go to the library and have them update your card, and then do a library book haul once a week. And talk about those things. Talk about what you find. We could easily do that. And that might be fun. That might be a lot of fun to do. Especially if I could take, video snippets of the library or pictures of the library. It's the old library is quite the thing to see. But anyway, I'll think about it. I want you to think about it too. I'll leave a link to that video because it's really, really good. And then we come to me. And the subject with me actually connects with that whole idea of taking pictures and videos in the library, because the subject of me is still my ongoing cell phone saga. I had an old iPhone 6 or 7 or something like that. It was getting really bulky when it came to charging. It did not want to charge. It would every once in a while if I angled it just right, but otherwise no. So when I had it charged to 100%, it was a dream. Of course, it was. I don't need any iPhone more advanced than that, but it was balking at, and you don't want an unreliable cell phone. And so I was thinking about getting a new iPhone. Oh my God, it's going to be a chunk of money. And then I thought, why does it have to be a chunk of money? You barely ever use your cell phone. I barely ever use it. I take pictures once in a while. I don't take it with me on dog walks with Frida, usually. Once in a blue moon, if I know we're going somewhere scenic, but otherwise, I usually forget it. I take pictures at the Brattle Bookshop. Basically, that's it. And every once in a while, I make a phone call. Probably 2 or 3 phone calls a month. I don't take any phone calls. Anywhere. From anybody. Ever. And I only make a couple in a month. So I figured, why spend the extra money for the Apple brand when you can just buy an Android cell phone for a third the price? And that's exactly what I did. I got a Samsung phone for a third the price. Swapped in the card, the SIM card, and started using it. And it's not a good phone. It does not do what I ask it to do half the time. It balks a lot. It is constantly taking input from me when it's in my pocket, even though it's turned off. So I turn it back on and it's got tons of gibberish all over it. And I have shown it to a young tech friend who had it in his hand and said, I don't know why it's doing that. So I don't know if it's Samsung or if I just got a lemon of a phone, but either way, that reminded me of a vow that I took a long time ago, which is that, I'm an Apple fanboy. Plain and simple. That doesn't mean I have to be brainwashed. It just means that when I use their tech, it works. And that's all I care about. That's the kind of user that I am. It's actually the kind of user that Apple's entire technological empire was built on catering to. Okay, that's time for me to admit that over again. I am an Apple fanboy. So what I need is an iPhone. So that's the ongoing saga with me. I'm looking at the cell phone over there, and it works just fine. I took pictures with it today. In a few days, I'm going to make a phone call on it. I'm sure it will work with that phone call. It works just fine, but it's not the phone for me. So I just need to decide what iPhone to get. I originally thought the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Then I realized the iPhone 13 Pro Max takes the weird, old-fashioned charging. And so does the 14 and the 14 Pro Max, that you have to go all the way up to the iPhone 15 to get USB-C, which everything else I have charges with. You have to go all the way up to the iPhone 15 to get that. And I was thinking, all right, well, do that then. You don't need anything more recent than that. You certainly don't need the 17. If all the reviews that I'm seeing are true, then I don't need the 17, which is apparently a flimsy piece of crap. So the iPhone 15 would be fine. But then I was thinking, okay, but that's still a chunk of money. That's $300 or $400 for something that you barely ever use. So those are the horns of the dilemma on which I am still impaled. And that's the subject for me. Aren't I fascinating? I have querulous old person complaints that go on for days or even weeks. You should come to Hyde Cottage right away. So there you go. That is an Irish stew video for today. And I will wrap this up, and I guess I will do one of these every day. I guess I will. We'll see. We'll see. I might take tomorrow off, but either way, I will see you the next time. Thank you.